It looks very dark in here. I know empirically it's not too late to be doing Mincha, but it's so different than when it's like bright blue sky. Well, Brant, I guess it's going to be a very quiet crowd joining us at first on here. I think more people are very used to joining on YouTube for this link. So we'll see if more people join in here. And as they come, then Hector will admit them to the room as they come in. So we're going to begin the service on page 214 in Lev Shalem. And if the service is not already streaming to YouTube, then it should be streaming to YouTube shortly. I can't tell because the computer is really far away from me, so it might already be. So if it is, then great, terrific. So we'll begin on page 214 in Lev Shalem. I think I left my papers over here for the afternoon page calling. I don't have them handy, so I will call it Lev Shalom for now, and then maybe I can get to them in a moment. We'll begin with Ashrei. Ashrei Yoshevi Veitecha Hotelilu Chasecha Ashrei Ham Shekach Lo Ashrei Ham Shadonai Eloha Tila V'David Aramim Chalohai HaMelech Urachashim Chalim Bahim V'Yegadol Adonai Chalim V'Yish V'Yir Jolad V'Yishma Chazet V'Yir Tehillah Adonai Perpi V'Varech V'Basar Shem Koshol Le'olam V'Hed V'Anachnu Nevarech Yah V'Et Havir Olam Hallelujah U'Balitzion Lu'elu Shavei Shab Yaakov Ne'um Adonai V'Nizah V'Et HaKadosh Shetilot Yisrael V'Karazel Zeh Amar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzevaot V'lo kol haaretz kivoto V'tisahini ruach V'shma charai korash kato Baruch kivod Adonai b'mekomot Adonai Yilov le'olam v'hed V'yivtechu b'cha Yudei Shemecha Ki lo azavta toreshecha Adonai Adonai chafetz leman tzidko Yagdil Torah v'yadir. Just a reminder before we go into the Torah service that if there are those people who are joining us on the live stream on YouTube, that if you registered for the link to join us for Shabbat services this morning, there is a Zoom link as that very same Zoom link is operational right now, also for Mincha and for this learning, and for Mari, they could join us and participate in the learning that we'll do after we do this Torah reading and the rest of the Mincha service. As you know, we haven't been able to really do a Torah service since we've begun this COVID era here in the sanctuary, except this morning, something really beautiful happened right here in this room. There's still signs and remnants of it behind me. The names of the Bieda family and their guests are still sitting on the chairs here. Here in this room, we had more than a minyan of Jews, just slightly more than, of a family here to celebrate as Ella became a bar mitzvah and read Torah in the room. So we were able to take the Torah out for the purpose of reading it this morning. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a blessed thing. And I'm so grateful to the people in our community, both staff and lay leadership, who have worked so hard to make it possible for that to happen. This afternoon, we're back to me here solo in the sanctuary with the help of some of our staff, including thank you, Hector, for making it possible for us to be here, but just me and not a minyan in person. So I'll say the blessing for Torah study, and then I will read the first aliyah for Shabbat, or the full weekday reading for Parshat Korach, which we will read this upcoming Shabbat in full. If you're in the Eitz Chaim Chumash, we're on page 860. If you're in any kind of a Hebrew Bible, then we're in the book of Numbers, the book of Bamidbar, chapter 16, the beginning of the chapter, the story of Korach and Korach's rebellion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kehat ben Levi v'Datan v'Aviram ben Meir Eliyav ve'Hum ben Pelet ben Hiruvein v'yakumu b'fneihem Moshe v'anashim b'nei Yisrael 50 200 nesi'ei dah kirei moed anshei sheim v'kalu al Moshe ve'al Aaron vayomeru aleihem Rav Lechem ki cholaita kulam kedoshim uvtocham Adonai umadua titnasehu al kehal Adonai vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav וידבר אל קורח אל כל עדתו לאמור בוקר ויודע אדוני את אשר לו ואת הקדוש ויקריב אליו ועת אשר יבחר בו יקריב אליו זאת עשו ככולכם מחתות קורח וכל עדתו ותנו בהן אש ושימו עליהם כתורת לפני אדוני מחר והיה האיש אשר יבחר אדוני הוא הקדוש רב לכם בני לוי ויאמר משה אל קורח שימו נא בני לוי המעט מכם הבדיל אלוהי ישראל אתכם בעדת ישראל להקריב אתכם אליו לעבוד את עבודת משכן אדוני ולעמוד לפני העדה לשרתם ויקרב אותך ואת כל אחיך בני לוי איתך וביקשתם גם כהונה לכן אתה בכל עדתך הנועדים על אדוני ירומם כי תלינו עליו וישלח משה לקרוא לדתם ולעירם בני אליהו ויאמרו לא נעלה מעט כי העליתנו מארץ זבת חלב ודבש עמיתנו במדבר כי תשתרר עלינו גם השתרר. And thus begins the dramatic story of Korach and Korach's rebellion. Is there anybody who is on this Zoom call who is in need of saying an El Male because they're marking a yahrzeit this week for a family member? And if so, could you indicate really clearly that that's the case so that Hector could unmute you? It looks like that's not the case. So if that's not the case, then we're going to move on from the Torah service. Again, brief, and I'm still holding thoughts and memories of looking into this room and seeing it full of people, including, of course, a bat mitzvah this morning, and looking forward to the next time that it can be a fuller service again, Kaddishes and Torah, and singing some Tov and Mazel Tov. So now that we have read our Torah learning for this week, we're going to move into our Tefillah, our Amidah. That's a whispered Amidah. It begins on page 223. If you're in the Lev Shalem Siddur, it begins privately and standing if you're able. We're going to recite it facing the ark, facing east. I invite you to do your own whispered prayers at this time. Adonai Tzuri, Lekwali, Tzuri Vekwali. We're at the top of page 230, whatever the page is following the whispered Amidah in your Siddur. Tzidkatcha tzedik le'olam v'tordecha emet. Vetzidkach Elohim ad marom, asher asita gedolot Elohim milchamocha. Tzidkatcha keharayel, mishpatecha tehom rabba, adam u'chema toshia Adonai. Turn to Elena if you're not already standing. I invite you to rise if you're able. 231. Aleinu lishabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedulat li'atzer b'reshit. Shelo asanu kegoyi haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchalkenu kahem, v'gar halinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu pareim, u'mishachavim hotim lifnei melech, v'chayam elachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Kakatu Ketorah Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai L'melech HaKol Haaretz V'yom Hahu Yihyeh Adonai Echad U'shmo Echad. Mourner's Kaddish is on 232. Yit Gadal V'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma Divara Kirutei V'yamlich Malchutei V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei maya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitfar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei tekudsha b'richu le'ela mincho v'irchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'alchol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'alchol Yisrael v'imru amen. Erev tov, tzorayim tovim. Feels darker and later than it is. I know because it was cloudy before the evening came in. Again, if you're watching this on our YouTube live stream, you're welcome to use the link. If you registered for it before Shabbat, you'd be able to use that link for Shabbat morning services to join us now on Zoom if you want to participate in the study that we'll do in just a few minutes of this week's Torah portion, this upcoming week's Torah portion. I'm going to start us with a little bit of song for Seudah Shlishit. Spoke weeks and weeks ago now about this idea that Seudah, this idea of a meal, a third meal, can be fulfilled with Torah study. It doesn't need to be fulfilled with food. And that the key, the real key to Seudah Shlishit is this idea that you set your table again. It's kind of like the making of your bed again in the afternoon. You gotta set it one last time. You want to be set up one last time before Shabbat leaves. Set up for food if you want, if you're feeling like you need a little nosh before the end of Shabbat again. That's okay. Maybe make it healthy, I don't know, or a treat. It's 8 o'clock, maybe have a s'more. But it would be okay just to treat yourself to some Torah. Set the table, and we'll do that with Torah study and a little bit of song too. So I'm on page 233. You can find, this is just Psalm 23. You can find it anywhere in, I don't know, you can find it in Yizkor booklets and the books of Psalms. If you have a Hebrew Bible in front of you, just turn to the 23rd Psalm. Anywhere you have a book with the 23rd Psalm in it, you can sing along. You can just hum along if you like. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, b'not asher yarbitzeni, amei menuchot yinaleni, nafshi shaveh, nafshi shaveh, yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki ele begates amavet lo hirara ki hatahimati shivtecha umishamtecha shivtecha umishamtecha hemai nachamuni taroch lefanai shulchan taroch lefanai shulchan taroch lefanai shulchan negid tzorei dishanta v'shemen roshi dishanta v'shemen roshi dishanta v'shemen roshi kol sirevaya achtav v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemnei chayai v'shavti b'veit Adonai v'shavti b'veit Adonai liorech yamin yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yidirai rai 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 yai rai rai rai. All right, let's do some learning. So, this is the story of Korach and Korach's rebellion. So Korach and Korach's rebellion might be something a little bit familiar to you, and not just because last week at Sudash Lishid, as Rabbi Kligfeld hilariously recounted, he kind of previewed this week's Parsha because he had skipped ahead to another portion. So he spoke really beautifully about this idea of Korach and Korach's people mikhaluing, kahaling, congregating in a negative sense up against Moshe and Aharon. What they said, what Korach and Korach's rebellion said, Korah, who was the son of Yitzhar, son of Kohat, son of Levi, so part of the tribe of the Levites, what he said was, Rav Lechem, you have gone too far. He claimed that Moshe and Aharon had taken too much power for themselves. And in the exploration last week, Rabbi Kligfeld spoke a lot and beautifully about the part of that claim that was a reasonable claim, that Moshe and Aharon had been less than transparent when it came to the way that they got their power. And then the rebellion takes a bit of a mob swing. It gets big and it gets crazy. And Moshe turns it over to God's hands to judge, meaning it gets really big and out of hand. And what ensues over the course of the next chapter, remembering that the derivations of all of these breakdowns come much later from Christian breakdowns. So I'm just referring to chapter numbers here so that you can follow along in case you're not following in Eitz Chaim. But these are not our chapter divisions. I want us to think about this as all of the beginning of Korah, basically all of the first 3.5 aliyot. All of it gets really riled up and out of hand to the point that Moshe turns over the judgment about what should happen to these rebels. First of all, if their cause is just, and second of all, if it's unjust, what should happen to them? He turns it to the hand of God. He says, come out here with your fire pans, bring it out here, let's rumble. Something's gonna happen. And Moshe, we're not gonna get into this because it would take us too long to do so. But Moshe says, go ahead. I want you to come outside. And they actually come outside with, it says explicitly, Datan and Aviram, part of this, the main co-conspirators in this particular rebellion. They come out, they stand at the petach, at the openings of their tents. They stand there specifically, explicitly, the Torah tells us, with their wives, their children, and their tapam, their little ones. And then Moshe says, I just want you to know, whatever happens here, it's God's doing, not mine. For example, if the earth should open up and swallow you whole, God's doing that, not me. I just want you to know if that should happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens, okay? I want you to hold there on that thought for just a moment. And I want to share with you something that I heard about this past week that has me thinking about the exact way in which we're told that the earth opens up and swallows up these rebellious people whole, and why we may not learn as much from what happened in this particular rebellion as we could. So here's the story that I heard this past week. And then we're going to go back to the exact telling of the story in the Torah. And what Sforno, who's a 15th century Italian commentator, picks up about that story and what that has to do with the story that I heard this week. Here's my story. I was listening to a wonderful interview this past week with Dan Pashman, who is a radio host and now a podcast host of a great podcast. I'm always a podcast recommender. I'm a podcast aficionado, and he has a podcast called The Sporkful, which for years was a radio show before podcasts were a thing. He's kind of like the Terry Gross of food. So he loves interviewing people in the world of food. So his show is called The Sporkful. And he was interviewing people of color who work at Bon Appetit the organization, which you might know as a magazine, but is better known actually through its media outlets these days, particularly through YouTube. Some of you might actually be watching us through YouTube right now and seeing ads for Bon Appetit. And Bon Appetit is owned by Condé Nast. And Dan Pashman was interviewing different people of color who are currently in the middle of a really explosive series of negotiations over contracts, new contracts, after some high up C-level executives in the organization have either stepped up or are stepped down or are preparing to step down from accusations that they've mistreated people of color in their organization. They've either not paid them appropriately, mistreated them in the kitchens, other accusations that have come out in such a way that have led to people in that organization who were at high levels of power stepping down, and or new negotiations over contracts that have people of color in the organization sitting at the negotiating table. And Dan Pashman was interviewing these folks. And in the middle of his interview, he went back to the very beginning of just the past week, right? So I'm listening to this interview last week, and he was going back maybe 6 days. And he says, now, so 5 or 6 days ago, I want us to go back a few days, and I want to recall this one incident in which, and then he reminded the folks in the interview of an incident that had taken place with one of the C-level executives who has since stepped down. And the person he was interviewing started to laugh uproariously. And Dan said, I'm sorry to stop you there, but I'm not sure I see what's so funny about that incident. And the person said, there's nothing funny about that incident at all. It's just that so much has happened in this past week that I'd completely forgotten about that first incident. Right? So many terrible things have come to light. So many crazy things have happened over this past week. So many confessions or accusations, so much conversation about what's happened in the kitchens at this organization have come to light that I completely forgot about the inciting incident, the first thing that was brought up in the week that led to the first person stepping down. It feels like that was 3 years ago. I'd totally forgotten about it. I want you to hold that story right there for a moment. And now I want us to go back to the story of Korah and what happens when they go outside of their tent entrances and they stand out there to be tested basically by the Lord. So scarcely had Moses finished saying his words when here's what happened. I'm going to read it in the English. If you're following along in the Hebrew or in the English, we're in the Eitz Chaim on page 865, or we're in Numbers chapter 16. We're going to go straight to verse 31. Again, I'm on 865 if you're following along in the Eitz Chaim. Vayehi kechaloto ledaber. Scarcely had he finished speaking, meaning had Moses finished speaking all of these words, when the ground under them burst open. Next verse. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households, all Korah's people, and all of their possessions, all of their rechush. And then this is the verse that we're going to pay close attention to. So I'll read it in Hebrew. Vayerduhem, they went down, they, v'chol asher lahem, and everything, everyone with them, chayim she'ola, alive, she'ola, she'ol bound, meaning down to the underbelly of the earth. Vatichas alehem haaretz, and the earth smoothly covered up over them. Vayovdu, and they poofed, they disappeared, mitoch hakahal, they disappeared from among the people. V'chol Yisrael asher sevivotehem, and all of Israel that was right around them, seviv, right around them, like sivivon so. Everyone that was right around them, nasu lekolam, they heard they rose up from their cry, the cries rose up. Ki amru pen tivlaenu haaretz. They ran at those shrieks. They said, oh, the earth might swallow us too. I'm going to stop in the story right there. Sforno, the Italian commentator, he says, this is not the normal way of the earth opening up, right? Would you agree with that? This is not normally how the earth opens up. Normally, do we all know how potholes work? Normally, potholes are there, and then we call the city for 6 years, and it's still there, right? Normally, there's an earthquake, and the crack's still in our sidewalks, right? 10 years later, and our insurance company is yelling at us, telling us it's our responsibility to take care of it, and we're like, it's the county's responsibility, right? Normally, the earth opens up. He says, the thing to pay attention to here is the verb batachas. Brant, do you want to be unmuted and maybe say something about this? Do you have a thought? We'd have to have you unmuted though, no? Okay, all right. I would be interested if you had something. But he says the thing to pay attention to here, it's not that the earth, it's not, or at least it's not just that the earth splits. He says, it's not like when an earthquake opens up the earth and it just opens. He says what you have to pay attention to is the techas. It's that it comes from the same verb as like the earth was covered in a plague, or the veil covered up Moshe's face. It's completely smoothed over, right? It's completely covered up. What I wanted to point to here, and maybe this is such a micro point, but it feels so important to me in just this moment, is that everything about this verse, sorry, I got so into it, I said the wrong consonant. Everything about this verse seems to be so local. Everything about this miraculous punishment seems to be witnessable only to the people who were standing right there in that moment. The people who were right there and around it were present to see it, and then it got smoothed over right then. And I see 3 clues. In the Vatachas, the earth, it was seamless, right? There was no crack there, as if an earthquake had gone through it. Second clue, right? The Svivotehem, this idea that it was that the people who were around them, that the Torah takes the time to tell us that the people who were frightened by it were the people who heard the shrieks going down into the earth, right? And they're the ones who learned from it. And the third comes from this word, vayovdu, and they disappeared, mitoch hakahal, and they disappeared from the people. There is no evidence, there is no remnant of this punishment. When they are gone, they are gone. Everything, the verse takes time to tell us there's even more evidence here. Everything with them, the whole asher lahem, right? Every single thing, their rechush, their possessions went with them. It's not even like they had, like, the stuff in their houses was gone. It was gone. Everything was gone. The evidence was gone. So the only people who were there and could learn from it were the people who were immediate witnesses to it. And Sforno notices that. When something outrageous happens and there are consequences, and those consequences are dire, I feel like we're living in a universe full of incidents that are as flashy and also as flash in the pan as moments like this, where they are big and earth swallowing, where people are canceled, where things are canceled, where people are sort of disappeared in a moment and everything with them, but it makes them very hard to learn from because they're missing the evidence, because there isn't a crack to point to and say, look over there, do you see that crack? Let me tell you the story of that crack, right? We've got to have something there to tell the story of. And so there's so many and so's that this could end on. I'm going to offer one, and I want you to think of others, and maybe we could have, if either one of you want to offer any and so's, if anybody who's on the Zoom call wants to offer any and so's on this, I'm totally open to that. One of my and so what on this thoughts is then it becomes our responsibility to tell the story, because all that's left are the words. All that's left is the story of Korah. So the story of Korah becomes all the more important because we're told that nothing is left of Korah. Nothing is even left of the incident. There's no place to point to. There's no evidence to point to. So if we're supposed to learn something from the insurrection, and again, this learning wasn't all about what was wrong about the insurrection, what was so problematic, but go with me. If there's something that we're supposed to learn about what's so problematic about this insurrection, the only evidence that we're left with is the storytelling. So it becomes critical for us to be these storytellers, because that is all that we're left with. I'm interested to know if anybody who's on the Zoom call is interested in adding an and so, or asking a question, or contributing at all. No pressure, but you're welcome to if you have a thought. So I'll close on this thought. When I shared this with a friend, what I was planning on teaching today, he said to me that it reminded him of the teaching about the garment that we rip upon learning about the death of a loved one. Today we rip a Kriya ribbon, right? We often affix a ribbon to our chest and then we rip that ribbon. But the traditional idea is to rip the garment itself that we're wearing upon news of the death of a loved one. And in the ancient world especially, so when somebody didn't own so many garments, they would have been responsible to repair that rip and then to go about their life wearing that garment, having repaired it in a particular way that wasn't a perfect repair, so that it would always remain as a reminder. And he offered that as a contrast to say that it really is important when something that causes us grief, when something that causes us the kind of grief that we need to live with and grapple with every day, when those things happen, things that we learn from and grow from and live with every day, that it's important for us to have these scar-like reminders as a part of us that we're able to look at to help us tell our story. And that it can be really hard if we don't have something to point to help us remind ourselves of that particular story. So I think I'll end our learning there for today, and we'll do Mariv, because by the time we finish up in just a few minutes, it should be perfect timing just to do weekday Mariv. In the Lev Shalem Siddur, that's on page 264. It's on page 200 in the Sum Shalom, the 1985 Sum Shalom. Again, because we don't have a minion in the room, we'll be skipping Baruch, we'll be skipping, we'll be adding El Melech Ne'eman at Shema, and we'll be skipping the Kaddishes except for the mourner's Kaddish at the end. I'm on page 264 in Lev Shalem. Vihu rachum yichaber bo milo yashchit, vir balei shiva po v'lo yahir kol chamato Adonai Hoshea melech yanein b'yom koreinu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Umavir yom u'mei vilay v'mavdi ben yom ben lay Adonai tzva'on shemo. Ilachavik yom tamidim lo chalinu le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv haravim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael el melech ne'eman. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher tzeitzei etchem me'eretz Yisrael lechem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet v'mnachos. Umalchut beretzon gibelu aleim Moshe u'bnei Yisrael lechadu shira b'simcha rabah v'yameru kulam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehillah tasefele malchut ikara v'necha b'keihem lifnei Moshe ze li'anu v'yameru Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kivad Adonai Yaakov v'olam yad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. U'shmor tzeideinu v'oleinu l'chaim v'shalom yetah v'yarolam baruch atah Adonai shomer hamo Yisrael l'haid. Invite you to turn forward to the whispered private Amidah. It begins on page 270 in the Lev Shalem Sidor. I'll turn and face east for my own private Amidah. I'm in the middle of page 279. Yigreni mene hui mona chivitzaracha sehu beopadehu. Orechemi masihu berehu bishuati. Orechemi masihu berehu bishuati. I'm turning back to page 216 to the first red flag on the page, second paragraph. Ve'hatakadosh shetilat Yisrael karazeh zevehama. Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzvaot. Melach ol haaretz kevoto. V'tisahini ruach v'shmai charai korash gadol baruch kevod Adonai mekomo. Adonai himloch leolam va'ed. Turn to Aleinu wherever you find it in your book. I'm on page 281. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula l'yotzer bereshit shalom. Kakatu b'tortach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech kol haaretz. Vayomahu yihyeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad. Mourner's Kaddish is on 282. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah ve'alma dirara kirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemeh dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela mincho birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. In just a moment, I will lead us in Havdalah here. There's also a zoom out of Shabbat and zoom into Havdalah. You can find the link for that on the website and on the front page of our website. I'm sure that's where some of you are headed right now. And I am going to light the candle in just a moment. Just a heads up that on Monday evening, there's a wonderful Rosh Chodesh program at 5 p.m. I hope you'll join us. It's a Hamalot Rosh Chodesh program, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be really great. Okay. I have 2 cups here, so fun. Inhale, Yeshua Tiftach Velo Efar. Yusi Viziraja Adonai Vahili Yeshua. Ushaftim Mahim Bisaso. Imene Yeshua. Ladonai Yeshua Lamecha Firchatecha Sela. Adonai Tzvot Imanu Yizkavlanu. Elohei Yaakov Sela. Adonai Tzvot Asher Yadav Te'achva. Adonai Yoshia, Amelech Yaneinu, V'yom Korenu, Le'yehudim, Hayata, Ora, V'simcha, V'sason V'kar, Kinti Yevanu, Kos Yeshuot Esa, U'b'shem Adonai Ekra Savri, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, V'horei Beri Hagafen, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borelini Visamim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei yorei ha'eish. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavdil bin kodesh lechol, bin hor lechoshech, bin Yisrael la'amim, bin yom hashvi'i, l'sheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavdil bin kodesh lechol. I wish a Shavua Tov. Gary and Marlise, good to see your faces. Yours are the one I can see from here. I wish you a Shavua Tov. Shavua Tov to everybody who's watching. Welcome to join us for Zoom out to Havdalah. We'll see if I make it over there myself by the time I walk home. I wish you a safe, healthy week. I miss you all. I look forward to seeing you soon.